Chapter 1601. Upon hearing the heart-wrenching cries, Sean assumed that Gavin and Zachary were being mistreated, and he lost his composure. Angry, he exclaimed, "How could that old geezer, Jeremiah, lay his hands on children? I will never forgive him. Let's go there. They dare to abuse our young masters. We must break in. We cannot stand by and watch them being beaten. Just listen to how pitiful their cries are. I can't imagine the mistreatment they've endured. Mr. Bailey, let's break in and save them. We may be outnumbered, but we are not afraid. If we delay, the young masters will be in even greater danger." We sent a signal, but the young masters didn't respond. It turns out they've been restrained. I'll call for reinforcements from the base right now. They can't bully us just because they think we're understaffed. We must rescue the two young masters as soon as possible. If Mr. and Mrs. Graham find out, they will undoubtedly be heartbroken. Everyone sprang into action, driving the car towards the Hoffman residence. As they neared, Sean accelerated. "Brace yourselves, everyone, we're going in." He would never sit back and do nothing. If necessary, he would confront Jeremiah head-on. The guards at the entrance saw a vehicle rushing towards them. They quickly raised the barrier and issued a warning. "Who's there? Stop the car, or we'll shoot." The guns were aimed at the newcomers. The bodyguards thought they were dealing with terrorists. The safety catches were off, and they were ready to pull the triggers at any second. Sean lowered the car window, shouting in fury, "Hand over our young masters." The guards exchanged glances. Are they here to save the kids? Restrain them. At the captain's command, the guards swiftly surrounded the newcomers. They began firing at Sean and the others, aiming for the tires. Damn it! Sean tried to control the car, but he couldn't avoid the crash. On a quiet night, a sudden commotion broke the silence, startling Gideon. Even Zachary had no idea what had happened and momentarily froze in place. Gavin cursed inwardly, certain that the bodyguards must have heard their cries and were now alarmed. Gideon contacted the guards at the gates, asking, "What's going on?" Upon hearing the report from the entrance, Gideon furrowed his brow in concern. He ordered, "Save them first. Be careful not to hurt anyone." Gavin anxiously looked at Gideon and asked, "Is it Mr. Bailey?" Gideon glanced at the kids and explained, "They came looking for you. They barged in so abruptly that it caused quite a commotion. Did Mr. Bailey and the others get hurt? I need to check on them." Zachary quickly got off the bed and ran towards the door with Gavin. "Oh dear, don't run. Let the doctor examine you first to check your condition." Gideon, in his anxiety, hurried after the kids with the doctor. They were all well trained, but they couldn't catch up to the kids' agility. All they could do was chase after them. Gideon, being older, was left panting heavily. "Young masters, please don't run out. I'll let them in. They should be unharmed," Gideon shouted from behind, but Gavin and Zachary ignored him. Taking advantage of the fact that the others couldn't catch up with them, Gavin and Zachary were determined to go to the entrance and check if any of the bodyguards had been injured. "Quick, stop them." Gideon stepped out of the door and urgently signaled the mansion's guards to stop the two children. Gavin and Zachary momentarily forgot about the guards standing outside. As soon as they dashed out of the door, they were apprehended. "Let us go. Release me." Zachary and Gavin struggled, threw tantrums, and even bit their captors. Despite their desperate efforts, they couldn't break free from the guards' grip. They were too small and no match for the guards' larger size. "Be gentle. Don't harm them," Gideon reminded, panting heavily. He genuinely cared for the two children. "Come down quickly and let the doctor examine you. Dr. Xanthus, please assess him immediately. We can't afford any more trouble." And so, Gavin and Zachary were once again brought back to the mansion. Chapter 1602. Does it hurt here? Edmund asked, observing Zachary's expression while conducting the examination. After a considerable struggle, Zachary was drenched in sweat, panting heavily, and even pinned down by the guards. "I feel uncomfortable everywhere," he pursed his lips, speaking in a feeble and pitiful manner. Upon seeing how quickly Zachary had just run earlier, Edmund initially thought Zachary was fine. But now, he was uncertain again. Since when did you start experiencing stomach pains? Gideon calculated the time and answered Edmund's question. Just a few minutes before I called you, about 10 minutes ago. The pain started suddenly, and there were even spasms. Edmund gently touched the area beside Zachary's stomach and felt Zachary shudder. Zachary felt a bit guilty, but he still put on a brave face. Suddenly, he curled up and began to sob. Dr. Xanthus, please quickly prescribe him some medication or give him an injection. I can't bear to see him in such discomfort. Gideon's worried expression, which seemed utterly genuine, greatly puzzled Edmund. Gideon, who are these two children? Are they relatives of yours? Let me finish my examination. It's too early to say anything now. Edmund was asking questions while simultaneously bringing out his medical equipment. He gestured to the guards to hold Zachary steady as he wanted to conduct a checkup on the little one. Stop asking questions and hurry up with the checkup. The child's condition is what's important right now. Gideon had been standing by the whole time. Having just completed the inspection, Sean and his party were ushered in. Mr. Bailey, Gavin struggled fiercely to break free from the other party's restraint and ran toward Sean. Gavin, are you all right? Upon seeing that Gavin was fine, Sean hastily looked for Zachary. What about Zachary? Has Zachary been hurt? If Gavin is fine, then it must be Zachary who was crying so pitifully just now. Seeing that the guards nearby were watching, Gavin found it inappropriate to explain to Sean that Zachary intentionally caused what had just happened. Mr. Bailey, Zachary cried out in a pitiful whimper. Mr. Bailey has actually come. Sean's heart clenched as he looked over. He saw Zachary being pinned down by the guards, not knowing what they were doing to him. In an instant, he broke free from his own guards, rushed over, and shoved the guard who was holding down Zachary away. What are you doing? I'm warning you. If you lay even a finger on him, I'll make sure you pay with your lives. The restrained bodyguards also launched their attacks at the same time, instantly plunging the scene into chaos. Stop, everyone, hold your actions. Gideon barked, taking control of the situation. Sean swiftly shielded Zachary and Gavin, a cold glint flashing across his eyes. Do you, the Hoffman family, think our family has no one to stand up to your bullying? You've gone too far, even targeting a child. You're truly despicable. Gideon recognized Sean and quickly explained, You've misunderstood, Mr. Bailey. We were just examining the young master's health. Mr. Bailey, they were just treating Zachary's illness. Seeing that everyone hadn't stopped fighting, Gavin hurriedly explained to Sean that if they continued this way, their people would be at a disadvantage. Treating his illness, Sean pulled Zachary closer, asking with concern, Zachary, are you feeling uncomfortable anywhere? Zachary glanced at Sean, giving him a wink. I'm fine. Sean failed to pick up on the subtle hint from the young boy, and he erupted in anger, shouting, Did someone hit you? Did they give you something to eat? Teach them a lesson. Don't think that just because the Hoffman family is in power, you can act without consequences. Hold on. Gideon commanded the guards to stop. Mr. Bailey, there seems to be a misunderstanding. We did nothing to the young master. He wasn't feeling well, and we were simply checking on him. The guards from the Hoffman family halted their actions, but the bodyguards couldn't let go of their pride and took the opportunity to throw a retaliatory punch. Zachary felt a sense of satisfaction. Knowing when to stop, he said, Mr. Bailey, I'm really okay. If you don't believe me, why don't you examine me? Oh, right. I'm also a doctor. As Sean regained his composure, he began to examine Zachary. Were you the one who was crying earlier? Yes. My stomach was hurting. Zachary responded softly, his face slightly flushed. He had never cried like that before, so he felt a bit embarrassed. While Sean was examining him, Zachary discreetly scratched Sean's palm. This time, Sean finally took notice. Realizing it was a deliberate act by Zachary, he felt relieved. However, he still pretended to be angry and scolded Gideon and the others. What did you give him? I need to conduct a thorough examination. Chapter 1603. I only cooked him some pasta. I haven't given him anything else to eat. Gideon responded honestly. Then, he turned to Edmund. What could be the reason for the young master's condition? Should we take him to the hospital for a full body checkup? If necessary, Gideon couldn't afford to be negligent and had no choice but to take Zachary to the hospital. No other issues were found. It's likely a case of gastrointestinal discomfort. I've brought some medication with me. If the pain becomes unbearable, we can administer an injection. Edmund had just finished his examination, but he couldn't quite determine the exact problem with Zachary. Zachary was in a peculiar state, alternating between feeling normal and uncomfortable. If it wasn't a physical discomfort, then there was absolutely nothing wrong. Let's give Zachary an injection first. He was quite uncomfortable just now, Gideon decided. Upon hearing that he needed to get an injection, Zachary's face turned pale. Clutching his stomach, he hurriedly ran to the restroom. Everyone exchanged glances, wondering what had happened. Young master, what's wrong? Gideon hurriedly caught up. Slow down. Don't trip. Sean slightly furrowed his brows, unsure of what was going on with Gideon. It seems he's treating Gavin and Zachary differently from what I expected. Gavin tugged at Sean's hand, and Sean lowered his gaze to look at Gavin, who was staring back at him. Mr. Bailey, are any of you injured? I heard that you had a car accident. Seeing the worried look in Gavin's eyes, Sean ruffled his hair, reassuring him, we're fine. We're just worried about you. Did they hurt you? No. Gavin shook his head. Other than threatening us when they captured us, they didn't use violence. We only brought them here. We're not the kind of villains who would harm children on a whim. Among the guards, one of them felt aggrieved and spoke with arrogance. With a snort, Sean retorted, your actions aren't much different from those of a villain. Edmund glanced at them, unsure of the situation. However, noticing a few bodyguards with scrapes, he stepped forward to tend to their wounds. The bodyguards accepted the treatment. After all, they would suffer if they didn't apply the medicine. Why did you go out again? Didn't I tell you to stay at home? Sean admonished Gavin in an undertone. Gavin felt guilty. He slightly lowered his head. We're also worried about Dad, so we want to help. We want to find Dad as soon as possible. Sean heaved a sigh, protecting him at the side. Great. Now, we're all here. Why did you bring them here? Sean questioned the guards, demanding an explanation. We're not sure about that. Mr. Hoffman surely has his reasons. Ha, what a lame excuse. Your actions are nothing short of kidnapping. Don't think we'll let you off the hook without an explanation. Jeremiah has gone too far lately. If we report this, his career will surely be affected. Sean angrily retorted. He and the other major families were unafraid of opposing Jeremiah. The guards couldn't speak for Jeremiah, but they were very protective of him. Mr. Hoffman is not as despicable as you think. He's a hypocrite. Sean spat. Mr. Bailey, calm down. Have a cup of coffee. Let's discuss matters peacefully. Sensing the escalating tension, Gideon hurried over, signaling the guards to step back. Mr. Bailey, please look. We did not mistreat these two young gentlemen. Mr. Hoffman simply invited them over. It was our subordinates who acted rudely and misunderstood the master's intentions, forcefully bringing them here. This has caused a misunderstanding, and for that, we are truly sorry. I apologize on their behalf, Gideon patiently explained to Sean. A glimmer appeared in Sean's eyes as he responded to Gideon, if it was all a misunderstanding, I will take them back home. Benjamin and Arissa are still waiting for them. Gideon hesitated in embarrassment. I cannot allow them to leave since Mr. Hoffman is not at home. Mr. Bailey, Mr. Hoffman wishes to meet them. Since Mr. Hoffman has not yet seen them, I cannot let you take them away. Let's do this. Let's wait until dawn, and I will consult with Mr. Hoffman. In the meantime, you should rest here. Jeremiah was genuinely sincere. Zachary, are you absolutely sure your stomach is fine? Sean took advantage of their small gathering to confirm once again. Zachary chuckled mischievously, his eyes narrowing. He responded cunningly, it's nothing. I was just fooling them. I didn't actually have a stomachache, let me tell you. My crying was meant to signal you guys and to play a little prank on them. Who would have known? Chapter 1604. I demand to see Jeremiah, now. Sean suppressed his anger, unwilling to entertain the butler any longer. Up until now, Jeremiah hasn't shown up. Could it be that he intended to play the coward? Mr. Bailey, Mr. Hoffman is not at home. He's on a business trip. Business trip. Then why would he bring Gavin and Zachary over? I don't care where he is now. Tell him to come back immediately, or he can forget about me being amicable. Aren't you afraid that I'll expose his scandal? Sean's gaze was icy cold. With Benjamin absent, he had to ensure the safety of the two kids. Seeing his impatience, the butler felt somewhat troubled. I will notify Mr. Hoffman at dawn. Mr. Bailey, you should rest first. After Gideon finished speaking, he summoned someone to lead them to their rooms. No need. We're leaving right now. Sean had seen Zachary and beckoned him over, signaling for him to hurry as they needed to leave. Let's go. The butler didn't interfere, as there was no need to. Sean led the little one by the hand, with bodyguards protecting him from behind. They were stopped as soon as they reached the entrance. The guards at the entrance were not to be trifled with. Each one was armed with live ammunition, and they were certainly not fooling around. Mr. Bailey, why don't we go in and get some sleep? Zachary beckoned Sean, hinting that it was wise to submit to their circumstances and stop resisting. The bed isn't too bad. Gavin also glanced at Sean. Sean really wanted to stand his ground, but their opponents' weaponry was far more advanced. They had hardly brought any weapons with them, so there was simply no chance of victory. After some thought, Sean spoke to his bodyguards. You may leave. I will stay here with the two of them. Whoever can get out should do so. We can't all be trapped here. They can't leave either. The guard interrupted them. Once you're in here, don't expect to leave easily. Who knows what mischief you'll get up to once you're out. Everything will have to wait until Mr. Hoffman returns. Why can't they leave? The person your employer is after is us, not them. Zachary protested vehemently, glaring at them. He had tolerated them for quite some time now. That won't do either. If they go out and leak our secrets, who will be held responsible? The guards, armed with guns, blocked the entrance. They knew they stood no chance, whether they rested or fought fiercely. After all, the opposition not only had weapons but also outnumbered them. Forget it, Sean decided, leading them inside. We can afford to wait. Jeremiah has to give me a good explanation regarding this. Upon seeing them enter, the butler quickly led them to the guest room and made sure they were comfortably settled. Besides the coercion, it was hard for Sean and the rest to find any fault. They were treated just like guests. Sean was uneasy about the two little ones. He did not stay in a separate room but shared a bed with them. The other bodyguards also shared rooms in pairs. Mr. Gideon, there's also a man who was brought here with us. Where is he now? Gavin and Zachary hadn't seen that bodyguard for a while. They reckoned he should have woken up by now. He must be in the other room. I'll go ask and have him come join you all. The butler, however, was not afraid of any scheme they might be planning. After exchanging a few more words, he left. This time, he didn't stay by the door either. Is the butler really kind to all of you? Sean couldn't help but express his confusion. Yes, indeed. Gavin nodded, confirming the truth. Mr. Gideon is different from the others. He treats us with kindness. Even when Zachary lost his temper with him, he didn't mind. It may seem that way for now, but who knows if it's all just an act? Zachary slightly curled his lips, not completely dismissing the possibility. When you pretended to have a stomachache, he seemed genuinely concerned. It didn't seem like he was pretending. Sean stroked his chin, deep in thought. Earlier, they had hoped to break through Gideon's facade of kindness, but their attempts proved futile. Chapter 1605. What signal did you send? Sean was surprised. The bodyguards returned in a hurry, implying that someone had been beaten up due to the pitiful crying. Zachary glanced at him and explained, "This is something my mommy taught us. I thought Oliver and the others were following us. They would understand it. It's our unique secret code." Sean pinched his nose, making sure they were unharmed before he could finally relax. "They must have been extremely worried about you at home. When I received their call, I was really scared. Did you leave right after me? Fortunately, you're all safe." Otherwise, I wouldn't know how to explain it to your daddy and mommy. Gavin and Zachary apologized with their heads down. Mr. Bailey, we're sorry. We made you worry. Sean looked at the two little ones who admitted their mistakes. His heart softened as he said, you can't entirely blame yourselves for this. It's that cunning Jeremiah. If he hadn't planned to capture you, you wouldn't have been caught. Jeremiah is clever enough to take advantage of Benjamin's absence and capture his children. Could he also be responsible for the trouble at the base? Sean furrowed his brows, pondering the significance of this matter. Considering the effort they put into arresting someone, it seems unlikely that Jeremiah could have pulled it off, right? What on earth is he trying to do? Mr. Bailey, who is Jeremiah? Zachary asked, looking confused. He had never heard of this Jeremiah before. Mr. Bailey, did he capture us to threaten Daddy? Is he Daddy's enemy? Gavin was also confused. He had never heard anyone mention this person before. Sean held one of the children and briefly explained, Jeremiah is a political figure in Jocasta. He doesn't have much connection with your daddy, but he has a nephew who you must know. Who is it? Zachary and Gavin asked simultaneously, their curiosity aroused. Justin Rogers. As soon as Sean mentioned this name, the two little ones were shocked. The next moment, they both snorted in unison. No wonder Jeremiah captured us. Is he seeking revenge for his nephew? Zachary furrowed his brows tightly. They had recently attacked Justin's house, so it wasn't impossible. That's possible. Sean caressed their heads and cautioned, we are now living under constant surveillance, so we must be careful at all times to avoid trouble. I will find a way to rescue you. Gavin nodded at Zachary and reminded Sean as well. Mr. Bailey, you must be careful too. We will stay here and silently observe the situation for now. We will confront Jeremiah later. When you see Jeremiah, don't act impulsively. We will handle him. Zachary was even more worried that Sean might let his anger get the best of him. How did you guys manage it? Sean asked, not knowing whether to laugh or cry. Let's discuss it when we meet him. Gavin only knew a little about Jeremiah, who was a relative of his father's archenemy, from Sean. Whether he was easy to deal with or not, they could only find out when they met him in person. For now, there's nothing we can do. They even confiscated our phones. Otherwise, we could at least inform Tim and the others, so they wouldn't have to worry about us constantly. Sean sighed. Zachary pouted slightly, expressing regret. If I had known, I wouldn't have cried and caused all of you to be trapped here with me. Don't worry, we'll definitely find a way out of here. Sean reassured the two young ones. Surely, Jeremiah wouldn't go to the extent of killing to silence us. Now, he fervently prayed for Benjamin's safe return as soon as possible. As long as Benjamin is with us, no problem is too difficult to overcome. Benjamin surely has a solution to rescue us. However, there is no news from him at all now, leaving us uncertain about his well-being. With a sigh, Sean hoped in his heart that everyone was safe and sound. Go to sleep. Sean gently encouraged the two brothers, cradling them in his arms. As long as they were fine, nothing else mattered. Chapter 1606. The Graham residence. Timothy wore a worried expression, unsure of Gavin and Zachary's whereabouts. He couldn't help but feel anxious. Have you been able to reach Mr. Bailey and the others? He asked. Not yet. Jasper glanced at Oliver. They were facing a similar situation. I haven't been able to reach him either. His phone is switched off. How could Mr. Bailey let us down at such a crucial moment? I wonder if he found Gavin and Zachary. Oliver furrowed his brows. He had tried to infiltrate the Hoffman residence's surveillance system, but they couldn't gain access. Whenever they entered that network domain, their laptops would black out. Could it be that Mr. Bailey and the others have been captured too? Jessie clutched her toy, seeking comfort. If that's the case, it would be disastrous. Jasper couldn't be certain if something had happened to Sean and the others. After all, they were in Jocasta, and it was uncertain what dangers they might have encountered. If Mr. Bailey has also been captured, then we are the only ones left who can save them. Let's not jump to conclusions just yet. Maybe we can't reach them at the moment. Let's try contacting them again later. Oliver glanced at Jasper and Jessie. Although he was trying to reassure them, he himself was unsure. Tim watched them, feeling helpless as he couldn't offer any assistance. Maybe we should tell Mommy, he suggested. Gavin and Zachary were captured, and Sean couldn't be reached. The longer they remained in captivity, the greater the danger they faced. Oliver and Jasper exchanged glances, momentarily unsure of what to do. They considered telling their mother, but she was currently pregnant. They didn't know if any sudden shock might cause complications. If only Daddy were here, we wouldn't have to worry about being alone. I wonder if he's returned yet. Jessie sighed, feeling overwhelmed by all the worries. If not Mommy, who else can we turn to? Timothy bit his lip, pondering who else they could seek help from. Grandpa. No, that won't work. Their grandfather was getting older, and he couldn't handle any form of stress. We can tell Mr. Whitley. He should have a solution. Timothy's eyes lit up as he realized that the only person they could turn to in their household was the butler. Oliver's, Jasper's, and Jess's eyes lit up simultaneously. They had surprisingly forgotten about Edwin. Let's go find him right now. Without wasting any time, the 4 children hurried off to find the butler. In the dead of night, at 3 in the morning, Edwin, who was in the midst of a dream, was awakened by 4 little kids. Tim, Oliver, Jasper, Jessie, what are you all doing here? Edwin was somewhat bewildered upon seeing the 4 siblings. Mr. Whitley, Gavin and Zachary have been kidnapped. We don't dare to tell Mommy. Jessie tearfully explained the situation to the butler, who was considerably frightened by the news. How did Gavin and Zachary get kidnapped? Edwin asked as he got dressed. Aren't they at home? Timothy, Oliver, and Jasper explained the entire situation to the butler, who grew increasingly solemn as he listened. Mr. Whitley, Mr. Bailey and the others have lost contact. Please send someone to rescue them quickly. They might have been captured and brought here. Jasper showed Edwin the location he had tracked on his laptop. The butler narrowed his eyes, recognizing the place. Isn't this the Hoffman residence? The Hoffman family had always maintained their distance from the Graham family, refraining from getting involved in their affairs. So, what prompted them to suddenly abduct the 2 children? Darlings, it's time for you to return to your rooms and get some sleep. I will promptly devise a plan to rescue them. Edwin comforted the 4 young ones, while contemplating who else he could call upon for assistance. He needed to rescue them before Arissa began to inquire about their whereabouts. Otherwise, she would be overwhelmed by such a sudden and distressing revelation. Chapter 1607. The butler quickly settled the children, then hurriedly descended the stairs to coordinate a rescue mission for Gavin, Zachary, and the others. However, the number of people he could mobilize was limited. To gather a larger force, they had to rely on Darius. Edwin glanced at the time, hesitating whether or not to report to the old master. He was torn, worried that it might upset Darius. These are troubled times indeed. Edwin paced back and forth in the living room. Now, only Darius and Arissa had authority in the house. Regardless of who he approached, he feared their health wouldn't withstand the stress. After all, any shock could be serious. Edwin, what are you doing wandering around in the middle of the night instead of sleeping? Suddenly, Darius' voice echoed. Edwin was taken aback. He turned around to look at the old master, who was descending from upstairs. Old Mr. Graham, why have you come down? Edwin asked with a chuckle, stepping forward to support the old man, pretending as if nothing was wrong. I came down for a drink because there's no hot water left in the room, the old man said, looking at him with a sharp gaze. Why aren't you sleeping? Is something bothering you? No, I just couldn't sleep. So, I thought I'd take a walk. Edwin responded nonchalantly, let me get you some water. Darius grunted, walking over to sit on the couch. You don't seem like you're suffering from insomnia. Instead, it looks like something's bothering you. Has something happened? Edwin hesitantly poured water for Darius and handed it over. Speak up. Has something happened to Benjamin? Darius had never seen Edwin so anxious, as if something major had occurred. He asked sternly, explain clearly, if you don't, I'll worry even more. Old Mr. Graham, Edwin began, carefully gauging the old man's mood before continuing. There has been an incident involving Mr. Benjamin. He went to the Northwest base to look for Mr. Watts and his team, but contact was lost. We have not been able to reach him up until now. The old man furrowed his brows, worry gnawing at his heart. However, he managed to keep his emotions in check. Could it be that there's no signal over there? Are you perhaps overreacting? Have you sent someone to look for them? He asked. People have been sent over, and Mr. Patterson also took some people to search for them. Edwin, having learned this from the little one, relayed the information to Darius to prevent him from worrying about Benjamin. Send someone over. We don't know the situation there from here. Let's wait for now. Remember, don't tell Isa. She's pregnant now, so we shouldn't worry her too much. Darius took a few sips of water, reminding Edwin without fail. However, seeing Edwin still somewhat hesitant, the old man paused. Is there anything else? Old Mr. Graham, Gavin and Zachary, worried about Mr. Benjamin, secretly left to find him. However, they were kidnapped on their way to the airport. Currently, there are few people at home who can be dispatched, and we have no idea about their situation. As Edwin spoke, his eyes began to redden, filled with worry. If there had been any other way, he wouldn't have dared to tell Darius. The old man's hand trembled, causing the cup to fall onto the carpet. He exclaimed anxiously, "What did you say?" The old man's vision blurred momentarily, and Edwin hastily steadied him by the chest. "Old Mr. Graham, are you all right?" The old man paused for a moment, raising his hand to indicate he was okay. "Explain clearly. What happened to them? Perhaps I misheard. Aren't Gavin and Zachary still at home?" "Gavin and Zachary have been kidnapped." Edwin managed to control his emotions and explained to Darius, "I've checked their location. They are currently at the Hoffman residence in Jocasta." Darius clenched his teeth. They had indeed been kidnapped. The Hoffman residence. Darius narrowed his eyes, already considering who could be behind it. "Are you referring to Jeremiah? If the location is correct, Gavin and Zachary were taken there." Edwin looked at Darius. "They were taken away last night, old Mr. Graham. If we had anyone else to send, I wouldn't dare to tell you. Now, we must hurry to rescue them. Who knows what hardships they might be facing." Darius' expression turned serious. "Prepare the car. We'll head there immediately." Chapter 1608. Old Mr. Graham, Jocasta is quite far away. Why don't you send someone with me to rescue them? It would save you the trouble of traveling back and forth. Edwin expressed his concern about Darius' health. As long as there were enough people, Edwin could handle the situation. "I should go myself. After all, Jeremiah wouldn't dare to harm my grandsons in my presence." With a cold huff, Darius ordered Edwin to prepare the car immediately. Upon seeing Darius' insistence, Edwin had no choice but to prepare a car to head to Jocasta. However, no sooner had the two of them boarded the vehicle and exited the gate than Darius began to experience chest pain, his face turning pale. "Old Mr. Graham." Edwin hastily gave Darius the medicine he always carried with him before instructing the driver to reroute to the hospital. "To the hospital? I'm fine. Let's continue to Jocasta," the old man weakly insisted. "Old Mr. Graham, we should really go to the hospital. In your current condition, it's not advisable to travel to Jocasta. If anything were to happen on the road, I wouldn't know how to explain it to Mr. Graham and the others. Let me take you to the hospital first, then I'll bring some men to Jocasta." Edwin pleaded with Darius. It was indeed a troubled time. If anything were to happen to the old man, he would never forgive himself. Darius was worried about his grandchildren, but when he saw how concerned Edwin was about him, he felt deeply conflicted. "Get to the hospital." Disregarding whether the old man would scold him for making the decision, Edwin ordered the driver to head straight to the hospital. Darius was indeed unwell, feeling as though he was losing control over himself. He was panting continuously, unable to even reprimand Edwin. After sending Darius to the hospital, Edwin stayed outside the emergency room the whole time. He realized that rushing to Jocasta to save the two boys was impossible now. His only option was to send a group of people there first. He couldn't leave as he had to wait until Darius was out of danger before he could rest easy. That night was far from peaceful. Everyone spent it in a state of torment. Only Orissa had a decent sleep. When she woke up in the morning, she saw her children sitting at the dining table, looking listless and sullen. Each of them was frowning, which she found somewhat strange. What's going on? Orissa's gaze swept over the 4 children present, not finding Gavin and Zachary among them. She asked again, haven't Gavin and Zachary come down yet? Timothy, Oliver, Jasper, and Jesse were somewhat uneasy. They didn't dare to look into Orissa's eyes as they feigned calm. We didn't sleep well, Timothy replied softly to Orissa's question, then lowered his head to continue eating his breakfast. Orissa walked over to them, gently touching their foreheads. The children seemed listless, but at least they weren't sick. Didn't you all go to bed early last night? Did you have a nightmare? The 4 little ones shook their heads, none of them particularly keen on speaking. Since Gavin and Zachary were yet to come down, Orissa glanced at the 4 of them. Did Gavin and Zachary scold you? No, Jesse glanced at Orissa. Orissa sat down beside them. Then tell me what's wrong. Why are you all looking so downcast? Are you missing your daddy? The 4 exchanged glances, tacitly agreeing to Orissa's words, yeah. Orissa smiled, comforting them, your father will be back in a few days. If you miss him, you can call him. I have no idea what's going on with your father. He hasn't even called me yet. As she spoke, Orissa began to mumble before she picked up her phone to call Benjamin. The 4 children stole a quick glance at her, too afraid to say anything. Naturally, the phone call couldn't go through. Orissa let out a sigh, still somewhat concerned about Benjamin, as there had been no communication from him all night. Why haven't Gavin and Zachary come downstairs yet? Orissa noticed that the other 2 kids hadn't come down for breakfast yet. She looked at the 4 little ones and instructed, one of you go and fetch them. The 4 children exchanged glances. Mommy, Gavin and Zachary aren't home. Jasper informed Orissa. They went out with Mr. Whitley. It was fortunate that the butler wasn't home, providing a convenient excuse. They had to go to the hospital to keep their grandfather company soon, and it was best not to let their mother know. If Orissa found out, she would worry again. Chapter 1609. Orissa paused for a moment, not suspecting anything wrong. It was not uncommon for the little ones to go out for a stroll with Edwin, so she didn't pay much attention to it. She casually asked, where did they go? The children sneakily glanced at her. Jasper responded, Grandpa also went out. I think he mentioned going to a friend's house for a wedding banquet. When I woke up, they were already gone. They must have left early in the morning, Mary added, unaware of what had happened. Orissa chuckled. Then let's eat first. However, as she continued eating, she felt that something was off. She looked up at Mary and asked, Grandaunt, what day is it today? Let me see. Mary couldn't quite remember and quickly glanced at the calendar. The 4 siblings became anxious. How could they have forgotten about this? Isa, it's Monday today, Mary said to Orissa. Glancing at the little ones, she wondered, they have school today, yet Gavin and Zachary went out with old Mr. Graham. Aren't they supposed to be in class? Orissa's gaze also fell upon the 4 children. She happened to catch them eating breakfast with their heads bowed, looking rather guilty. She narrowed her eyes. There was no way Gavin and Zachary would forget that today was a school day. Were they planning to skip class? Where on earth did Gavin and Zachary go? She stared intently at the 4 little ones, her intent gaze weighing on them. Jasper glanced at his brothers and sister, his lips pressed tightly together. Orissa was simply too perceptive for them to fool her. Be honest, where did they go? Orissa put down her spoon, not even bothering with her oatmeal anymore as she suspected that the little ones were deceiving her. Mommy, Timothy called out softly, somewhat fearful of the stern Orissa. Perhaps it was guilt or anxiety that made him unable to stay calm. Tim, can you tell me where Gavin and Zachary have gone? Orissa softened her voice a bit. Both boys were very astute, so it couldn't be that they simply went out. Timothy bit his lip. Gavin and Zachary have been kidnapped, and now even Grandpa has fallen ill. There's no one to rescue Gavin and Zachary, and I have no idea how they're doing. Daddy has also disappeared without a trace, leaving only Mommy and great-grandaunt behind. It might be best to inform Mommy, as she might be able to figure out a way to rescue Gavin and Zachary. The longer Timothy worried, the more danger Gavin and Zachary faced. Making up his mind, he exchanged a glance with Oliver. Oliver, unable to think of a better solution, felt it might be best to tell Orissa the truth. Mommy, we can tell you, but you must be prepared. Don't get too upset after hearing it. You must, absolutely must, take care of your emotions, Oliver began, trying to soften the blow for Orissa. If Mommy were to get upset, things would become even more chaotic. At that point, we wouldn't even know what to do. Orissa furrowed her brow, and upon observing the serious expressions on the little ones' faces, her heart sank. Could it be that Gavin and Zachary didn't actually go out? What happened to them? Speak up, I'm not as fragile as you think. Orissa urged anxiously. Regardless of whether the news was good or bad, she needed to know what was going on. Mommy, Gavin and Zachary have been kidnapped by bad guys. Timothy clenched his fists, his eyes welling up with tears. He was worried about them yet felt utterly helpless. Orissa was taken aback, her mind going blank for a moment. She had never fathomed that Gavin and Zachary had been abducted. Mommy, please stay calm. Don't get too agitated. Your health is important. Upon witnessing her freeze, Jasper hurriedly approached. He gently caressed Orissa's back, anxiously observing her. Mommy, don't frighten me. Timothy also approached, attempting to comfort Orissa. Mommy, are you all right? Gavin and Zachary are still waiting for us to rescue them. Jessie was also terrified to the point of tears. Mommy, how do you feel now? Are you feeling unwell? We should take you to the hospital. Upon seeing her silence, Oliver was extremely concerned. Isa. Chapter 1610. Mary was concerned about the little ones, but she was even more worried that Orissa wouldn't be able to handle this situation. Nothing else could happen to Isa. Isa. Regaining her composure, Orissa shook her head, indicating that she was fine. She made an effort to control her emotions, not allowing herself to become too agitated. Both Gavin and Zachary had been kidnapped, and with Benjamin not at home, it was up to her to organize the children's rescue. She couldn't afford to fall apart. Taking in this news, she gathered her strength to prevent herself from panicking. Weren't they at home? How were they kidnapped, and when did this happen? Orissa looked at the four children, who should have a clear understanding of what really happened. Jasper looked at her. Mommy, are you okay? Is your stomach hurting? I'm fine. Now, please tell me what's going on. Orissa furrowed her brows in worry as she thought about Gavin and Zachary. The two children were suddenly kidnapped, and it happened when Benjamin was not at home. Their enemies must have been observing them for a long time. Gavin and Zachary were kidnapped last night when they sneaked out. Oliver instinctively didn't dare to say that they had gone to find Benjamin. We can't let Mommy worry more. If she keeps receiving bad news, she might not be able to handle it. Orissa's brows furrowed even more. She hadn't expected that the children had been kidnapped the night before, and she had gone to sleep, unaware of everything. A whole night had passed, and there was no telling how they were doing now. There were signs last night, after all. The children had kept the door closed, responding to her from inside the room. If she had entered their room directly to check, she might have discovered their disappearance right then and there. Why didn't you tell me? She looked at them, filled with worry. Yet, she couldn't bring herself to scold them. At the moment, rescuing Gavin and Zachary was the top priority. What were they doing out so late at night, and were you informed when they were kidnapped? While questioning them, she also dialed Sean's number, hoping to ask him if he could arrange for help in the rescue. Mr. Bailey intended to help Daddy search for someone. The two of them knew about it and secretly followed him. However, on the way to the airport, they were kidnapped. We didn't want to tell you because we were afraid it would worry you. If Mr. Bailey had already rescued Gavin and Zachary, we wouldn't have dared to inform you. Jasper was quite clever, making sure Orissa didn't have to worry too much about Benjamin's situation. Sean went to rescue them. Orissa was surprised. Was Sean still unable to rescue the children and feeling guilty, so he didn't dare to answer her call? Yeah, when Gavin and Zachary went missing last night, they immediately informed Mr. Bailey and urged him to rescue them quickly. Jessie nodded, recounting the events of the previous night to her. Do you know who took Gavin and Zachary? Orissa asked, unsure if the children were aware of the situation. She was already thinking about how to investigate the matter. Mommy, they are currently at the Hoffman residence in Jocasta. They haven't moved since last night. We know this because Gavin has a tracker on him. Timothy hurriedly relayed this crucial piece of information to her. Orissa paused, looking at them. You've looked into this? Yes. Mommy, we're quite certain about this. Mr. Bailey also went there, but we haven't heard from him since. We don't know if he was discovered by someone or what. Oliver was also unsure about Sean's current situation and was quite anxious. The Hoffman family. Orissa realized she didn't know much about the Hoffman family. Upon discovering that her children were at the Hoffman residence, things became easier. They could simply go there and rescue them. Everyone, please stay at home. I'm going to Jocasta to rescue them. We'll have a talk when I return. Orissa warned the 4 children and instructed Mary to keep an eye on them, ensuring they wouldn't leave again. Mommy, let us come with you. Oliver was worried about her going alone. Almost all the bodyguards at home have been taken away by Mr. Bailey. Your presence won't be helpful, it will only distract me. Please stay at home obediently, and for now, don't go to school. Also, don't tell your grandfather that Gavin and Zachary are missing. If he asks, just say that I took them on a long trip. The youngsters didn't dare to tell her that Darius had known all along and was now ill, lying in the hospital. They also didn't dare to insist on accompanying her. After leaving her words hanging in the air, Orissa hurriedly went upstairs to change into a sharp, well-fitted trouser suit. She then promptly arranged for 2 additional bodyguards to accompany her before immediately setting off for Jocasta.